A cemetery can mean different things to different people. It can be a place to visit family members we have known and loved, and it can be a place to become acquainted with those we never knew. It can be the beginning of a search for history, or it can be the end of a search for family identity. It can be a pleasant stroll through the pages of the past, or it can be a tug at the heartstrings of the present. Center Cemetery covers some 262 years of history in our town, right up to the present. Thus, it can be any of these things to those who enter. We begin with the newest section, not yet in use, and move backward in time. The newest, which is also the lowest section, has been cleared of woods, and roads have been laid out and paved in the last year. We move up the hill to the north and show you stones from the most recent years. Names are familiar to many of us. Most of the stones look quite new and modern. The placement of the McNamara stone is interesting in that this section of land was owned by the McNamara family. Their house stood here at the top of the hill, and after fire destroyed their home, they sold the land and moved to West Street. The land became part of the cemetery, and when Mr. McNamara passed away, he was buried where his back doorstep had been. Dr. Orrin Moser, who served this town for many years as a doctor, health officer, and school physician, is buried here alongside his wife, Nellie. Also, Louis Button, town clerk and insurance agent. Charles Yeager, postmaster. Cora Belden, librarian, and Andrew Twaddle, town prosecutor, treasurer, and representative to the state legislature for 2 terms. Some other familiar names are Vincetti, who had the dry goods store owners, Otto Newman, West End farmer, whose house, barn, and farmland were situated where Interstate Highway I-91 now runs from Elm Street to West Street. Joseph Lesson, whose son, Howard, as captain of the Cumberland, ferried many of us across the Connecticut River to Glastonbury and back. And Hamlin Robbins, dairy farm from Old Main Street. This stone belongs to Susan Weber, survivor of the sinking of the Titanic in 1912. She was traveling to Rocky Hill from England to meet her nephew, Charles E. Weber, from Forest Street. She became a United States citizen and resident of Rocky Hill, and she kept house for her nephew and brought up his daughter, Gladys Weber, who resides on Forest Street at present. Susan Weber died in 1952 at the age of 77. Frank Sherwood, who served Rocky Hill as town clerk, is buried in the next section, which holds a mixture of stones and monuments, some old and some newer and modern looking. Names throughout this section are familiar, though they are mostly older families of the town. Jerusha Smith, Goodrich, Rogers, daughter of Levi Smith, farmer and tanner, and wife of a tinsmith, whose descendants have given the museum many family artifacts, is buried here. Also, Jesse Rumfelt, lifetime resident and longtime crossing guard for our school children. And town doctor Rufus Griswold, who in 1894 estimated 3,000 burials to date in the burying ground. And Charles B. Gilbert Sr., selectman and dairy farmer. There is also a number of most interesting monuments, which was designed to look like a tree stump with a scroll engraved with the name Captain Charles Smith, 1846 to 1902, and his wife, Fanny, 1846 to 1906. Moving on into the next section, which is the largest, we find the Robbins Crypt. According to the inscriptions, there are 20 people from the Robbins and Miriam families dating from the years 1770 to 1878. Also, one Justice Candy, husband of Delilah Miriam. You can see from the damage, vandals have tried to break into the vault, and on at least one occasion have succeeded. The next scenes that you will see is the damage of the interior of the vault. The beautiful ornate casket that was destroyed. In a quiet, secluded spot toward the east side are the stones dedicated to Rocky Hill war veterans who were buried overseas. Antonio Campillo, buried in France, fought in World War I. The other 7 fought in World War II, 2 of which were brothers, Frank and Horace Benino. Both died and were buried in France. There are decorative monuments as well as ornate stones in this part of the burying ground, and one such monument is a drape-covered urn atop a tall column. Now 2 others are tabletops, top and side views, one reading Captain Edward Buckley and the other Captain Ephraim Goodrich. The oldest section is last. At the beginning, in 1730, it was known as Coles Hill Cemetery. It was expanded to the southwest in 1847 and then moved both north and south between 1858 and 1886. Thus, the oldest stone is not at the north end, but nearer to the gateway off Main Street. It is a small, simple brown stone for a baby girl, unnamed, born to Benjamin and Mary Deming in 1731. The town doctors are buried in this section. Aaron Hosford, who died in 1804, and Joseph Higgins, who died in 1797. Dr. Higgins' stone could not be located, and it may well be damaged beyond recognition, as many are. The first 4 ministers of Stephanie Parish are also here. They are Daniel Russell, Burridge Miriam, John Lewis, whose stone, again, could not be located, and Calvin Chapin, whom Chapin Avenue was named after. The 4 ministers covered a period of 123 years and 9 months in our town's history. These next 3 brownstones, along with others, tell of deaths from the dreaded smallpox. The names and dates on the 2 are Deacon Nathaniel Robbins who died from the smallpox October 6, 1783, and Mr. Richard Robbins, son of Deacon Nathaniel Robbins, who died from the smallpox October 28, 1783, 3 weeks later. The third stone names 3 children on one stone. Presumably, they are buried one on top of the other. Starting at the top, they are John Ames, Jr., died July 12, 1776 at age 16. Next, Mehetable, September 16, 1775 at age 11. And at the bottom, Eunice, September, the date illegible, 1775, age 6. A number of the Reverend Mr. Daniel Russell family also died of the smallpox. This must have been a time of extreme anguish and anxiety for the families and townspeople. And next, far over in the northeast corner, we find a boulder with a plaque attached which reads, William R. Buckley, April 1825 to December 1895, and Emma S., his wife, October 1831 to February 1905. Also, Emma M. and William F. It is the only one of its kind in the cemetery. Along with this presentation, we would like you to view what is happening to our historical burying grounds. Through age and weather, neglect, and vandalism, stones are slowly being destroyed. We have asked for the help from the town with this problem and have been informed that the responsibility of taking care of damage to stones or monuments rests on the family of the deceased. And since many have no family, or they've moved away, or just simply don't know or care, we need to find a better way to protect and to preserve our history. Some of these you'll notice have been embedded in the ground, and it makes it very difficult for the people who keep the grounds to avoid hitting them. They do the best they can, but you can see that it needs a special kind of care. The banks on the east side, which is dividend road looking south, have been cleared of brush and seeded by the town at our request. We have also requested more care be taken in mowing so as not to slash and damage the bottom of the stones with the edge of the mower. Next, we'll view a series of stone engravings to illustrate the variety of design there is in the burying ground and how much the style has changed over the years. Photos are being taken and filed with inscriptions. Now these are some of the designs that are there. Now photos are being taken and filed with inscriptions and negatives of all stones and monuments in order to have a permanent record. It is a slow, time-consuming process due to weather conditions, the necessity to grid out sections, and picture taking and inscription recording, then the development and filing. It will take years to complete. See the different variation of stones. Drawings of the cemetery for viewing are on the table at the front. One is of the old burying ground, the other is the two latter sections with the names of those buried therein. We have not been able to find any maps among that encompasses the whole cemetery, or one that accurately details any part, new or old. We feel it would be of historic value to the town to look into having the complete cemetery surveyed. We hope you have enjoyed our brief tour and that it has piqued your interest enough for you to take a stroll through Center Cemetery and become acquainted with the past and the present history of our town's people. This program represents the cemetery tours to be offered later in the year for our sesquicentennial celebration. Volunteers are needed to organize the tours during our spring, summer, and fall months. If anyone is interested, please let us know after the meeting or by calling someone on the committee of the Historical Society.